You're watching Gearz.
You know, one of the things that makes Gearz unique is that every week we feature a project that one of you guys is actually working on in your own garage. And since we started doing that, we have received thousands of emails from around the world showing some really cool projects. And that has allowed us to create an online community called Gearz Nation, where gearheads can talk to each other, ask each other questions, and help solve problems. But one question that we continually get comes from people that have gotten stalled on a project or hit a stumbling block, and they ask, is there any way that you could come to my garage, check out my project, and help me out with it? Well, there is actually a way to do that, but that would require that I have a vehicle that would be able to carry all the tools and equipment that I would need to deal with the surprises that may come up in your garage. So for a long time, the search was on to find the right rig. And I drove and tested all kinds of vehicles in my quest to find the right truck for what I wanted to do. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, this is awesome, man. Who wouldn't want a fire truck? The answer, ironically, came from our own Gearz Nation, where member Rick Kirsten said he had the perfect vehicle. It was a retired fire truck in great shape and ready to go. There was only one problem. Rick lived about 10 hours away, which meant I would be driving an untested truck in the middle of the night by myself for about 10 hours. What could possibly go wrong? So after a quick flight to Pennsylvania, I was able to hook up with Rick and check out his wild sidecar motorcycle creation firsthand. It was really cool, and Rick is a true gearhead through and through.
They're just patterns for everything from master cylinder to radius rod ends, and the shifter, this is out of a 1948 Ford dump truck.
So tell me about the paint on these fenders.
I use duplicate color. It's a metal cast. It's anodized surface color system, and it just barely covers it and shows the underneath of the steel what was done on the fenders.
That's out of a spray can?
Out of a spray can. I've been building models since I was in 6th grade. This is where the frame setups have come from for God's Rod. All my frame, all the ends, all the radiuses, everything was done on this workbench right here. Outside, snow, it didn't matter. Yeah, if it's got gears, I like it. That's why I like your show.
But as unique as the sidecar bike is, Rick and Sue are even more unique. Rick embodies the work ethic and values that help build this country.
2 back fusions and 2 artificial knees. Ran cranes from 5-ton to 1,200-ton Manitowocks. Anywhere from 20 foot of boom to 440 foot of boom.
And Sue is she's just cool.
We used to go to the same club together down in Handstown.
Same club?
Well, yeah, Gooter was my friend, Gooter was his friend. It was Good Friday. It was April 2nd.
How good of a Friday was it?
Hey-oh.
Well, we each went home separately, but we've been together since.
And they're both patriots in the truest sense of the word. Seem to be very supportive of our military and firemen, public servants. Tell me about that. Where does that come from?
I don't know. My father was in the military. My brother was. I just feel that people need to do things for our wounded warriors.
Why?
Because nobody else is.
When we finally ventured out to check out the old fire truck, I was very grateful that Rick was an honest guy and everything he told me about the truck was true. Even though it was an '86 model, it had low miles and was in incredible shape. Not all beat up like I thought it might be. It had basically been sitting in a firehouse for most of its life, and with its big cargo box, it was perfect for converting into the rolling tool rig that I envisioned for making house calls.
It's 1986 GMC.
86.
86 with 13,000 miles on it.
Anybody ever tell you look like Dennis Gage?
No.
After getting a walkthrough of the ins and outs of the rig, and driving the truck around to get a feel for it, it was time for me to start that long trip back to Nashville. And as I drove deep into the night, the truck hummed right along with no problems. Other than the fact that it's governed to run no faster than 65 miles an hour. Oh, that's gonna have to be changed. But at least this gave me plenty of time to lay out a plan of what I wanted to do to the truck.
A successful automotive project takes planning and organization, but instead of using an old tablet or notebook, there's the Gearz Project Planning Book. This unique workbook was designed to help you lay out a project, the parts, the tools, and the cost, so you can stay on track. It even has places to attach photos and document your progress to keep you motivated. And if you ever decide to sell the vehicle, it serves as a complete history of what's been done. If you're in the middle of an automotive project or thinking of starting one, the Gearz Project Planning Book is the best way to lay it out and make it happen.
Hey, welcome back to Gearz, where today's project is this 86 Chevy box truck that used to serve the volunteer fire department in Hannistown, Pennsylvania. Now, the goal for this project is to show you how to take a vehicle that was built with a specific purpose in mind and convert it into something that serves a completely different purpose and save you a ton of money at the same time. Now, the reason this is important is that everybody would like to have a vehicle they could take hunting and fishing, or something that they could take to the job site, or something that they could use as a tailgate vehicle, or something they could use to start a business with. And the best place to look for a rig that'll support that kind of thing is at a military or a local or a state auction. And here's why. When this truck was built for fire and rescue use in the 80s, it was completely decked out with all the lights and sirens and emergency equipment that a truck like this needs, including what was a state-of-the-art car phone back then. Remember that? We gotta keep this. This truck was also fitted with twin generators and over 300 feet of cable to supply both 110 and 220 power to a work or rescue site. High-intensity work lights were added on the sides and in the rear for working at night. A heavy-duty winch was located in the front bumper, and the interior is loaded with enough shelves and racks to hold a lot of equipment. Now, I know you're thinking, this has got to be expensive, but here's the kicker. When this thing was originally built back in the day, it cost the fire department about $60,000. But even though it's only been used a little bit, once something like this is retired and it goes to auction, they're not worth very much. And that's because all most people see is an old bright green rescue rig, and they sure don't want that sitting in their yard. And they fail to see the potential of what's on here and what this thing could be. And that's where you come in. Because if you shop around, you're gonna find that there are some serious deals out there on stuff like this. And then all you have to do is convert it to do the job that you want it to do. That's what we're gonna do with this, because it's already halfway there. Okay, the first thing we need to do is clean up the truck and get rid of any old parts or junk that might be inside. After that, we can start laying out what we want to do back here. All right, since we're going to be carrying a lot of tools with us, we need to have a place to store them inside the truck. preferably in a locked box. Now, Cornwell's got a lot of different boxes to choose from, so after making some measurements, we picked up a couple of these 7-drawer toolboxes that measure 44 inches tall and 27 inches deep. That's because these will fit perfectly in the spot that's right above the wheel well, and that'll give us a place to store our hand tools. As far as the tools themselves, we've been working with Cornwell for a while to come out with a special Gearz tool set. Now, this is something that's going to include all the most important tools that you're going to need to build that thing in your garage, to restore a vehicle, to pull something out of a field, or to help your buddy down the road. Now, check it out. Now, it's going to include all the sockets that you're going to need in deep and standard, 6-point and 12-point, 1/4 inch, 3/8 and 1/2 inch drive. You got all kinds of pry bars, assortment of screwdrivers and scrapers. Got your combination wrenches in both SAE and metric. You've got all kinds of pliers and dikes and vice grips and those sort of things. You've got specialty tools, electrical testers, remote starter switches, timing lights, and of course, an assortment of air tools. But it doesn't just stop there, it continues on. You also have tools for working on fuel and brake systems, grinders and body hammers, heavy duty and impact tools, spray guns for painting, hammers and trouble lights, and a bunch of other important stuff so you can be prepared for whatever surprises a project may throw at you.
When Stacey David makes house calls in the big Gearz Nation truck, it makes for some pretty special moments. But if they can't come to your garage, the next best thing to do is check out the stuff they have online to help you out. Things like DVDs, wiring and build books, apparel and fender covers are just some of the things you'll find to help you with your project or make a great gift for that certain car nut in your life. If you're ready to get out there, build something, and then go smoke the tires on it, StaceyDavid.com can help you do that.
Hey, welcome back to Gearz, where today's project is how to take a vehicle that you don't really have any use for and convert it into something that you do have a use for. For example, this old truck was a fire and rescue rig in a former life. Now we're converting it into a rolling custom shop so we can make house calls to Gearz Nation members like you. But before we can load all that stuff in here, we have got to make this thing more comfortable to drive. So let's step inside. Okay, the main thing that we need to add in here is some sort of sound deadening, because rolling down the road, these aluminum walls are going to reverberate like a tin can, drive you crazy. Also, we want these walls to look better, and we want to be able to control the temperature, because in the summertime, this thing is going to be an oven. In the wintertime, it's going to be an ice box. Fortunately, there's a product to solve all these problems. Come on. This stuff comes from DEI, and it's called Boom Mat Leather Look Sound Deadener. And it's available in pre-cut sizes for smaller areas or big rolls when you need more. Now, DEI makes this stuff by taking a high-density foam material and pairing it together with a leather look outer skin. That way, when you put it on, you have a nice professional-looking panel. But it doesn't just look good. It also controls temperature and vibration and sound coming through the metal. Check out the difference. Pretty amazing. Now, the best part is, all you have to do is cut this stuff to the size you need and glue it in place. The first thing we'll do is take out all the shelves and brackets to give us better access to the walls. Then we'll just take some measurements and cut our pieces to the shape that we want. And using a straight edge to guide the cut will ensure that we get a nice clean edge. Finally, we'll bond the pieces in place using upholstery adhesive. Wow, what a difference that makes. It already sounds better in here and definitely looks better. All right, now we're ready to mount those toolboxes. Like I said, they're going to go right here above the rear tires. Then we're going to bolt the back of the toolbox to these uprights so they don't bounce around on us when we're rolling down the road. But first, we're going to pull off the wheels and the lid so it'll fit in that tight little spot. Bring it up a little bit. You better put that camera down and help me carry this thing up in here. To keep the drawers locked when we're driving, we built a simple latch out of a hardware store hinge to block the lever when it's not in use. Okay, another thing that a truck like this needs is an onboard air system, so we can run air tools and fill tires and that kind of thing. And you got two choices here. You can either run an engine-mounted compressor or an electric compressor. Now, since our engine is already loaded up with a lot of accessories, an electric's the way to go for us. So we went to Extreme Outback and put together an air system for that truck. Check it out. Notice we've got two Extreme Air high output air compressors. These kick out 150 PSI and they do it really quick. So we're gonna have plenty of air. But to keep these from running all the time, we also got a couple of auxiliary tanks to store the air in. Now notice that the tanks and the compressors have a really small, compact footprint, so they'll mount right on a frame rail or under the bed or the body of a vehicle. Now to hook all this stuff up, Extreme Outback has all the electrical wire and switches, relays, circuit breakers, the air hoses and fittings, everything you're going to need to put a quality air system in your vehicle. All you have to do is decide where you want it.
If you've got a cool project and would like to show millions of other gearheads what you're working on, you need to join Gearz Nation. This is a free, interactive online community of auto enthusiasts that will allow you to learn from, share with, and encourage others, and at the same time, show off your project. There are also premium memberships available for access to special merchandise and the entire Gearz catalog. If you're into mechanical things, you're welcome on Gearz Nation. And who knows, you might even see your project on TV. Now, quick tip, brought to you by E3 Spark Plugs, born to burn.
You know, one thing that every gearhead is going to face at one time or another is rusty hardware. And there's nothing worse than rounding off the head of a rusty bolt when you're trying to remove it. But before you get mad and throw that wrench across the shop or reach for some specialized hardware, the solution might be in the socket that you're using, because you should be using a 6-point socket on rusty hardware, not a 12-point, and here's why. Notice that the 12-point only contacts the tips of the nut, making it very easy to round off a nut, especially if it's rusty. Now in contrast, notice that the 6-point contacts all the way down the sides of the nut, giving you a far superior grip and making it possible to knock loose some old, nasty, buggered up hardware. Hardware that you probably have rounded off with a 12-point. Now obviously, there is a place to use a 12-point socket. They're great for tight, hard to reach places where you don't have a lot of room to move the ratchet handle. But for nasty, rusty hardware, a 6-point socket is going to prevent all kinds of frustration and grief that a 12-point socket could cause. If you'd like to learn more tips to make your life easier in the shop, check out the tips page on the website.
And now, Parts Bin, brought to you by Heartthrob Exhaust, where technology and craftsmanship come together.
One of the most important tools that you can have in a shop is a drill press, because drilling holes is something that you always have to do. But not all drill presses are created equal, as you're about to find out. This new one from Dake is called the Power Feed Drill Press, and it's for people that need to drill a lot of holes quickly and accurately. Take a look. It features a powerful 2-horsepower motor with 3 speed ranges and a manual adjustment, so you can crank it down to a slow, high torque speed or turn it up to get through something quickly, all with a simple twist of a knob that can be done while the drill is in operation. It's also reversible, so you can use it for tapping or reverse drilling or whatever. The most unique feature, though, is the power feed, and this works by just setting the depth that you want the hole to be, then pull the handle out. The press does the rest and automatically sets the down feed rate to match the spindle speed and proceeds to drill the hole all by itself. If you need another identical hole, you just reposition your piece and pull the handle again. Now, if you don't do a lot of fabrication, you can probably get by with a simpler, more traditional drill press like that. But if you work with metal a lot, drill a lot of holes, this Dake Power Feed Drill Press is one of the slickest tools that you will ever chuck a bit into.
What are you working on? Brought to you by Air Raid, American-made quality and performance since 1992.
Today's What Are You Working On comes from Peter Orr from Everett, Washington, and his project is a 1972 GMC Jimmy. But to see where this thing actually started, you got to go back 20 years to when Peter's dad actually picked this thing up and wanted to restore it all back original. So he stripped it all apart, put it in primer, and stuck it in a garage. And there it sat for 16 years. Now fast forward to Peter, who decided he wanted to restore this truck, but not in the same direction that his dad wanted to do it. So he snuck it out of the garage and started a 4-month-long build. Now check this out. They started by stuffing in a turbocharged LS1 engine, followed it with a T56 6-speed, a Ford 9-inch, 456 gears, big fat Mickey Thompson tires, and then they redid the interior with bomber seats and painted the whole vehicle. Basically made it a big hot rod. But the real payoff came when Pete took the finished truck down to a local car show and then took his dad down and surprised him with the truck. Said his dad was blown away and now he can't get his dad out of the truck. Can't blame him. So Pete, for sending in such a great project, we hooked up with our buddies at Air Raid. They're going to give you a system for whatever you want. All you got to do is go to their catalog, pick out the part number, and they'll ship it to you. Also, we're going to give you a year subscription to 4-Wheeler Magazine. So if you ever want to convert that thing into an off-roader, well, you'll know how to do it. Also, we're going to give you a project build book so you can document everything you've done to the truck. Now, the rest of you guys, if you want to get in on this, you got to go to our website, go to Gearz Nation, because we pull every What Are You Working On from our Gearz Nation. But before you do that, you got to get out there and start working on something. We'll see you next week.